I see. You are discussant, or you are discussant. I see. Okay. Well, I think I was thinking that we have an external expert to discuss. A chair, okay. Okay. That's, I see. Okay, fine. Anyway, wonderful. Good morning, and we are going to have a faculty seminar today on a issue which is of very much relevance today from a different perspective. That's about GST in practice. And I think recently somebody wrote about China. China perform in practice, but we are very poor in theory. So in GST, I don't know where we in terms of practice and in theory. This at least you are talking of the practice issues, that's very important. And a mixed methods analysis of awareness and stakeholder challenges. So we are happy that Professor Simon Tuttle has agreed to chair the session. Thank you. And I don't think that we need, there is any need for any introduction to Professor Tuttle. And I would like to kind of, apart from welcoming you, I would like to share with you the constraints that our tax section, the commerce department of our institute is suffering from. We have only two faculty members, and the basic minimum, I don't know whether it is enough. And we have very few PhD scholars. Last batch 2 got selected. Now there is only one person. We are, I think there are serious issues we are faced with, wherein we would like to have your support and more involvement. I know that you are also a highly demanded person. I know that recently I was in Loyola. They were talking about your manifold commitments and you. So we look forward to have much more closer interaction from you. Okay, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Okay, now I think you may conduct the chair.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, one and all. Professor Joseph, Akhil, and all the wonderful faculty members who have assembled here for this session. Theme is, as already spoken, is on GST. It talks about awareness, analysis of awareness, as well as stakeholder challenges. So I think it's a very big thing because we're looking at awareness as well as stakeholder challenges. And as you look at the media and as you look at academic literature coming out, there's lots coming out in terms of GST, record collections, the GST Council, simplified rates on one end, and compliance part, practice part, sharing part, state not getting the requisite share, things like that continuously happening. And as far as ordinary consumers are concerned, what exactly is the price and how price implications get linked with GST, whether the benefits of a GST cut actually moves down, percolates down. All these issues are there now. And now we are looking at it's a mixed research. That means we're looking at the perspectives and perception of some of the stakeholders, as well as the secondary literature in terms of how it is moving. So I think we'll have a wonderful time. So I'm concluding with this. I'm requesting all of you to put your minds and thoughts on the theme. And shall we invite Mr. Akhil for the presentation, and then all of you will involve yourselves in a very simple, interactive deliberations on what we can get out of it. Thank you so much, and over to Akhil.
So good morning, respected chair, respected director, sir, respected discussant, my dear colleagues and friends. So today I'm going to present a study titled GST in Practice, a mixed method analysis of awareness and stakeholder challenges. So since GIFT is a prominent public finance institute in the country, I should not introduce the concept GST because everyone must be familiar of that, but still some of the students specialization is not taxation. So let me spend some couple of time for explaining the concept. So as you know, GST stands for Goods and Services Tax, which is introduced as a biggest tax reform in the country post independence, right? So the objective is there in the tagline itself, that is one nation, one tax and one market, because the indirect tax system in India was fragmented like anything. So you have to unify those fragmented indirect taxes into an umbrella term that is known as GST. And again, apart from that, there are multiple objectives to bring ease of doing business, to bring transparency and compliance easiness in the system. Ultimately, the aim of GST was to have a GST, that is good and simple tax. Okay, good and simple tax, that was the objective. This one again, you must be knowing, but those who are not from the taxation background, let me explain. Tax, you know, right? It is a compulsory contribution which is imposed by government on the citizen for undertaking the welfare activities, and we have different basis of classifying taxes, and one of the basis is what we have impact, incidence, and shifting of tax burden. So based on the impact and incidence, you can classify the taxes into two categories: direct tax and indirect tax. Direct means what? You have impact incidence is on same person and there is no shifting option. So example is income tax, whereas in indirect tax you have uh, impact is on one person and incidence is on other person, and you can have an option to shift the liability to other person. So this was the structure of GST, I mean structure of tax system pre-GST, that is before 2017. Sorry. So these are the taxes subsumed to GST. Again, you must be knowing different taxes were there, existed in India, and taxable event also, right? Taxable event means nothing, but whatever which attracts the tax is known as taxable event. For example, in case of income tax, what is taxable event? To earn income, right? Like that, excise duty is there. The taxable event will be manufacture, and customs duty will be there. That is, the taxable event will be import or export, like so, like that taxable event will be there. Multiple taxes were there, and these all are subsumed to an umbrella term known as GST, that is goods and services tax. So the pre-GST structure, as you know, it is characterized by multiple tax acts. Central Excise Act was there, VAT was there, Central Sales Tax was there, multiple act was there, and so we need multiple administration system also. But after merging it into GST, it is characterized by a uniform law, only one law across the country. So that is the administrative feature of GST. This is the post GST tax structure in India. Again, we have direct tax as it is income tax is there. Then indirect tax and customs will be there. Again, under indirect tax, we have intrastate and interstate transactions. Intrastate means the transaction within the state, and interstate means transaction between the state. So in case of intrastate transaction, we have two set of GSTs. One is CGST and second one is SGST. If it is union territory, you will be having UTGST, Union Territory Goods and Services Tax, instead of SGST. And for interstate transaction, we have IGST. Most of the people are saying it is Interstate Goods and Services Tax. It is not interstate, it is Integrated Goods and Services Tax. Okay. So again, as I mentioned in the initial slide, on paper, again, implementation of GST was a remarkable achievement of pre-independence, and in policy document, again, it symbolizes the modernized India or digital India, because every transaction or every aspect of the GST is technology based, and there is a portal known as GST, and you must be aware, Goods and Services Tax Network. There is no pen paperwork. You don't need to visit all the offices like before. Only one portal is there. You have to do all these things. But again, if you take a government policy, what is the criteria for measuring the success of a particular government policy? My politicians will be saying it is merely proper implementation and legislation. If policy is properly implemented, legislation is clear, then the policy is successful. It is not like that. The success of a policy must be measured through lived experience. You know, right? Lived experience means what? What is the effect of something on the life of some because of some policy changes? What makes the difference in their life? That is the meaning of lived experience. So if you're taking the example of business concerns or on enterprises or service providers or small traders, they are daily facing issues with this GST system, right? starting from the registration, then confusing regarding the filing of returns, GST and portal related issues, technology backup is not there, then compliance pressure, everything is there. So what looks streamlined at the macro level can be very complicated at the micro level. So this create actually a critical question, like how well do the primary stakeholders actually understand GST and what are the challenges they are facing and what are the perceived benefit out of GST. So this is what motivates the study. And statement of the problem, we can classify the major issues in 4 heads. Like first one is operational uncertainty. I already mentioned there are frequent, regulatory changes, which is already mentioned in Kerala economy issues in 2017-18. A lot of notifications came. So a compliance system is difficult. Technical glitches are there and ambiguity in tax procedures. Alongside implementation issues also there. Particularly related to small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, they are actually facing more issues because they don't have the what mechanism for institutional support. And the third one is, and the most important problem is knowledge deficit, because GST provisions, filing mechanisms and all cannot be done by a normal taxpayer or a normal trader, because the system is more complicated and it is a new thing for them. So they have to obviously depends on the intermediaries. Intermediaries means what? The tax practitioners, right? So if they are doing something by themselves, they have a fear of they will commit some errors and that will lead to penalty. So obviously they have to depend on what? The tax practitioners. So it reduced the confidence in the tax system. That is the most important thing happened after introduction of GST. And stakeholder perspective gap is also there. I mentioned stakeholder means we have taxpayers, we have consumers, we have policymakers. So from policymakers' point of view, what they are assessing, it is from the macroeconomic indicators. But whereas in case of businesses or taxpayers, they have daily compliance pressure. If they are not committing, if they are not filing returns on time, they'll get huge penalty. So that fear is there. Okay, so these are the issues which lead to this particular study. Again, motivation, I mentioned existing literatures are there, which is focused on macroeconomic outcomes and revenue implications, which is actually conducting using secondary data. Right? Revenue is increased or not, like that. But fewer studies have gone through the ground level reality. What is happening in the ground? So for that, there is a big gap. So we have undertaken this study by merging quantitative and qualitative aspect. We have called it as triangulation approach. So this is the core question, because every month we are saying that the revenue is increased this much and the return filing is increased this much, e-way bill generated this much, we have collection of 9% growth, 10% growth, right? So aggregate statistics are there. So the question is GST working equally well for everyone? Or are critical voices being lost in aggregate statistics? We are getting only aggregate statistics, and what is happening in the field is still missing. So this is the research gap or research question. And to identify the research happened in this field, we have done a metric analysis. So it shows that this is based on literature from India. So from 2017 onwards, you can see a hype in the publication trend in the area of GST. So this is just for literature purpose. So this study is basically tries to answer 3 research objectives. First one is the level of awareness. Second one is the challenges in implementation of GST. And the third one is the perceived or potential benefit from GST. So we have taken only primary stakeholders, that is taxpayers and tax practitioners. And the research design used here is descriptive, and we have used secondary data and primary data. Again, primary data we have collected from taxpayers and tax practitioners in Kerala. Sampling technique used for tax practitioners, purposive sampling technique, and for taxpayers, random sampling technique was used. And for tax practitioners, again, we have taken only those who are dealing with GST, not in the income tax filing and all. Again, for this one, selection of samples for taxpayers, we have 7 categories of GST registration. Okay, we have normal taxpayer, composition scheme taxpayer, input service distributors, e-commerce, like that 7 categories are there. And out of the 7 category, only 2 category constitute 98% of the total taxpayers. That is out of 360,000, I guess. Yeah, 360,000. We have 98% of the taxpayers coming under 2 category. That is normal and composition. Okay, so we have ignored the 5 category, only taken 2 categories for the study. And one of the research methodologists is there. His name is Paul J. Lavrakas. So in his book Encyclopedia of Research, Survey Research Methods, he has explained that in every cases you can't go for proportional sampling. Okay, say for example, if the group you are considering is the difference is vast, in this case again out of 360,000, more than 3 lakh constitute normal taxpayers and only 50,000 constitute the composition taxpayer. So if you're going for proportional, it will not make sense. So we have chosen disproportionate sampling. I mean disproportionate sampling, and for that total sample size fixed is 384 based on the sample size calculator. And on the basis of that, 2:1 ratio criteria we have used, because the second group composition constitute only 50,000, the other group constitute 3 lakh. So 2:1 ratio we have employed. 2 constitute the normal taxpayers and 1 constitute the composition. So 256 and 128 is the sample size. This is the sample distribution. So tools and methods used for collection of data, again for quantitative purpose we have used survey method, and for qualitative we have used FGD, and these are the softwares used for analysis. And operational, we have already explained. Tax practitioners means those who are exclusively dealing with GST, and taxpayer who is having the registration number of 32. 32 stands for Kerala. So results and discussion. This is the descriptives of the sample we have collected. Type of registration, again normal and composition only we took, 256 and 128. Then nature of business, again the business, the taxpayers are classified on the basis of business nature also, that is manufacturing, trading and service provision. Then turnover and scope of supply, again intra-state supply is there, inter and intra-state supply is there, and export is also there. This is the descriptive. First objective, examine the level of awareness on GST among taxpayers. So first we have used one sample t-test. As you know, one sample t-test checks whether the sample mean is significantly different from a reference value. So here the mean values are all below 3, which signifies low level of awareness among taxpayers. Again, we have 6 factors I have mentioned here. In each factor, we have multiple statements. We have covered almost all the aspect of the GST features, basics, supply concept and registration. For example, we have done what do you mean by destination based tax, then tax rates applicable to different products, goods that are exempted from GST, goods coming under GST, slab rate of GST, composition levy scheme, reverse charging mechanism, then applicability of CGST, SGST, IGST, GST network, GST identification number, GST council, threshold limit for registration, anti-profiteering clause, e-way bill, then supply concept like interstate, intrastate, taxable supply, exempted supply, composite supply, mixed supply, continuous supply, the need for taking registration, benefit of registered dealers, issues of not taking registration, voluntary registration option, single and multiple registrations, threshold limit for normal and composition scheme, tax rate for composition dealers, then migration from old tax regime, then return filing procedures, monthly return, quarterly return, annual return, nil return, due dates of filing returns, then provisions related to supply of goods, supply of services, interstate supply, intrastate supply, TDS, TCS, ITC, penalty, fee, refund, e-way bill. So this much aspect we have covered, and these are the 6 factors. So again, the result shows significance. So we are supporting the research hypothesis. And the second one, as I shown in the descriptive statistics, we have two type of registration. So we are checking whether there is any difference in the awareness level of normal and composition dealers. So here we have used Mankova, that is multiple analysis of covariance. So this is used because we have multiple dependent variables and one or more grouping variables and one covariate that need to be controlled. So during our study, in the context, we have found there is one more categorization of normal and composition dealers. If you are checking the legal aspect, for normal registration, you can have interstate or intrastate supply. If there is interstate and intrastate supply, you can go for normal registration. Okay, but if you are opting for composition registration, then you should not deal with interstate supply. Only intrastate supply people can opt for composition. So there is an covariance, covariate factor of what scope of supply is there. So we have to control that effect. So that is the reason why we have used Mankova. So again, Wilks lambda test statistics is used and it shows significance. That means even after controlling the covariate, GST features, basics, supply concept, return filing and provision show significant difference. GST registration is itself is not significant at 0.05, 95% confidence level. So the interpretation is that awareness is not uniform across the registration categories because there is significant difference in the awareness level of normal and composition delays. So the third one is awareness level of taxpayers based on nature of business activity. Again, nature of business activity we have already mentioned. Manufacturing, service provision and traders. Three categories are there. So here one-way MANOVA, multivariate analysis of variance is used to see whether awareness differs among manufacturers, traders and service providers. So here again, the dimension or awareness dimension shows significant p-values, and this means that there are statistically significant difference among the three business categories. So that also supported the research hypothesis. And after that significance value in the MANOVA, a post-hoc comparison test was done to identify which category differs. So multiple comparison table shows which specific items or awareness statement differs across manufacturers, traders and service providers. So the two key HSD post-hoc result revealed that traders are more aware. Just for identification, we have put a plus symbol. So traders are more aware, which is followed by service providers, and the least awareness level is for manufacturers. And what are the sources of GST? I mean, what are the sources the taxpayers are used to get the information regarding GST? So based on the result, majority of the taxpayers are still depends on tax practitioners for getting a source of information regarding GST, which is followed by internet and print media. Okay. Second objective is to determine the challenges in implementation of GST. Again, we have done a simple one sample t-test. Here also 4 factors are there. Issues related to GSTN, issues related to GST compliance, issues related to supply chain and registration and return filing. We have comprehensively set some statements like mismatch of data in GST return forms, malfunctioning of GSTN portal, lack of provision in the portal for rectifying errors, then slowing down of GSTN portal, lack of proper guidelines for using the portal, unavailability of offline utility, difficult to upload heavy files, login errors, auto logouts, non-delivery of OTP or delayed OTP, the network or gateway timeout, lack of response from GST telephone helpline, website overload and due date, then non-robust to handle the HS and SAC, which they have corrected recently. Then complexity in documentation for claiming input tax credit, lack of clarity on reversal of input tax credit, then reconciliation problems, issue in connecting auto-calculated ITC, issues regarding utilization of ITC for setup, that is also corrected recently. Then ITC on capital goods, lack of significant efforts in follow-up for claim, then TDS procedure for claiming refund, delay in grievance and redressal for a refund, then vagueness in some cases there is a vagueness in place of supply and time of supply, then problems on warehousing is there, logistic issues are there, Then limited validity period for e-way bill is there. Appropriate knowledge of e-way bill from the official side is also there. Then transit issues in connection with e-way bill, ambiguity in stock transfers, then migration issues, again multiplicity of registration, then reverse charge mechanism in migration, difficulty in migration from composition scheme to normal scheme. So these are the major issues which I have listed. So based on that, again we have done a one sample t-test. So here also the significant, the t values and p value shows the significant. So that means taxpayers clearly perceive these issues, and taxpayers are facing these issues related to these four factors, which is supporting the hypothesis. And again, on the basis of nature of business activity, that is manufacturers, traders and service providers, to check whether the challenges faced by these three are same or different. Again, it shows significant difference. So this means that business structure again influences how GST problems are experienced. That means manufacturers challenges are entirely different from traders, and which is different from service providers. So to identify which category faces more challenges, again the result, the post-hoc result shows that traders are facing more challenges compared to other two category, and manufacturers are comparatively faced least challenges. And to identify the magnitude of these challenges, we have used this ALSCAL technique, that is Euclidean distance model summary. So this table reported the summary of EDM summary. You can see the stress value and RSQ. So the stress measures the goodness of fit, and the so the criteria is lower the RSQ at lower the stress value, the model will be fit. And RSQ explains the proportion of variability of data. So an R square of 0.6 is considered as acceptable. So here RSQ value is significantly high and the stress value is very small, that is below 0.02. So it can infer the actual problems faced by the three categories. So based on that, these are the major issues faced by manufacturers. Out of a list of problems, these are the major problems which is faced by manufacturers, traders, and service providers. So for manufacturers, again, it is related to malfunctioning of GSTN portal, then lack of significant effort in follow-up for claim, ambiguity in stock transfer, then migration issue, reverse charging mechanism, frequent changes in tax rate, like that. These are the major problems faced by three categories. Okay. Third one, examine the potential benefit of GST. Again, these are the perceived benefit. So one sample t-test result is there. So interpretation, except for one, the categories, the taxpayer category agrees that there is procedural and documentation advantage of GST, but compared to the benefit to the business, it is not there. So I'll read out the benefit again. Benefit to the business, it includes statements such as GST has facilitated ease of doing business. It has benefited multi-state organizations dealing in good. GST has benefited multi-state organizations dealing in services. It facilitated seamless flow of credit. It helped in easy movement of goods. It facilitated in reduction of overall tax, and it eradicates cascading. Then compliance benefit, again, GST portal is helpful. Then helpline and help desk of GSTN is helpful. GST has reduced interaction or visit to department, that everyone agrees, because you don't need to visit offices. It is all done through GSTN centralized portal. And GST has resulted in saving compliance time. Cost of doing business of SMEs has been reduced. GST has enabled ease in remitting taxes. GST has reduced the cost of claiming refund. Refund processing time has been reduced. These are related to the compliance and documentation. Again, it increased the foreign companies trade in India. Exporting goods and services tax, now exporting under GST has now become easier. GST has reduced paperwork from return. The litigation under indirect taxes regime has been reduced. GST has abolished the classification dispute. Then maintaining or updating books of accounts and records have become easier. These are the documentation benefits. So we are supporting the research hypothesis here. And based on the business activity, again, which category perceive more benefit? So here again, the benefit of GST is also experienced unevenly across the sectors. The result shows that business category, like irrespective of the category, everyone agrees that this benefit will be there if GST is properly implemented, but they are not getting this benefit actually. The post hoc test explains service providers are perceiving more benefit compared to the other two category. So apart from that, focus group discussion we have conducted as part of this qualitative. You must be knowing FCD is nothing but a guided discussion about a particular research problem. So in quantitative studies, like in survey methods, we are trying to answer how much or how often. But in case of qualitative research, I mean, for focus group discussion and all, we are conducting to get the answer why and how. What is the reason behind that? You will get numbers for survey, whereas in case of guided discussion, you will be getting the reason for something. So you can see the focus group discussion concept map. So this map shows the question topic and themes that emerge from the concept. You can see the difference in the weight of the line. So the weight of the line is an indication of how important the topic was in focus group discussion. So lines with heavier weights indicate a theme was more important than the lines with lower weights. So based on that, it was found that the awareness of GST is most important element pointed out by the participants, followed by challenges, and then comes the potential benefits. Thickness of line, you can see. So 3 focus group discussions were there. I'll tell the summary. This is the focus group 1 discussion. This is the second one. So the discussion aspect was under awareness, challenges, and potential benefit. So this is the third one. So the summary of awareness is this one. So the thematic, this is a thematic summary of group insights on awareness of GST. So there are 3 dominant themes emerge. Again, you can see the thickness of line. So, so 3 dominant themes. Again, it is based on the thickness of the line. You can see there are 4 factors, but 3 lines are heavier. Okay. So the first, there is a clear need of awareness, particularly among small businesses. So indicating that while registration levels are high, again the conceptual understanding is still lacking. So the participants are open that there is still a need for awareness. Second one, you can see awareness gap. So many taxpayers comply procedurally, but they don't know. They will do compliance, but they don't know what they are actually doing. What is the logic behind that? They don't know. So there is a lack of awareness. I mean, awareness gap is there. Third, there is evidence segment disparity, because the larger firms or larger companies will adapt whatever the changes happening in the GST, but the MSME sector, particularly the small and the new entrepreneurs, face greater learning barriers. So these are the challenges. Again, the thickness of line, you can see the most frequently cited issue is lack of preparation during the rollout. Again, GST 2.0 is again, they have rolled out without much preparation. And GST and portal issue, even after 8 years of implementation, still there is issues with the GST and portal. And the technical issues and structural barriers actually affecting the filing accuracy and business continuity. Then participants also emphasized late fees and penalties as a source of complaints anxiety, because after 1 or 2 years they are getting a notice that you have not done this much, you have to pay this much of amount as penalty and fee. So that will create an anxiety among the business community, particularly for small taxpayers. Then additional challenges like technology adaptation difficulties are there, administrative hurdles are there, and concerns related to policy interpretation and governance consistency. These are the prominent challenges. And for benefits also, the principle of one nation, one tax, everyone, accept it, and it is a good move out. I mean, as far as business community is concerned, they are enjoying the benefit of that ONOT. Then GST is seen as a supporting for economic growth, enhancing transparency and efficiency. They are opined, okay, these are the proposed benefit. These benefits are good until if it is really happen to their business, then only they will reap the benefit. Otherwise, on paper, it is fine and good, but in practice, it is not so well and good from the ground level reality. Again, from the social media platforms, X, you must be knowing Twitter. So we have done a sentiment analysis based on Twitter data. So sentiment analysis, again, it is also known as opinion mining or emotional AI. So based on the tweets, we have extracted data, and based on the tweets, we can identify what is the trend going on in the social media regarding this particular aspect. So in 2017-20 period, we have done a sentiment analysis during that implementation phase, the initial phase of implementation. So that time, the opinion was very negative. The common general people opinion, I am saying, it is not from taxpayers, whoever is tweeting in the X. So based on the data, the perception on about GST was extremely negative, because 72% opined negative opinion on implementation of GST, whereas 28% opined positively. But after that, from 21 to 24, we have conducted sentiment analysis based on the emotion. So we observe that the anticipation and trust, you can see the emotions here. The anticipation and trust dominate the emotional spectrum now, 7,860, and trust is also there, 3,940. Then these are based on the emotions: anger, anticipation, disgust, fear, joy, sadness. So the dominated figures are anticipation, positive, and trust. And this one is sentiment analysis based on polarity. Again, positive, slightly positive, neutral, slightly negative, negative, and no sentiment. So you can see based on the polarity, neutral responses form largest share, 38% is there, indicating that many discussions are, informational rather than rational. Then slightly positive and positive sentiments count for around 46%. 38% is neutral and 46% is slightly positive and positive. That means you can say positive opinion is 46% and 38 neutral stand. Okay, so overall, the public perception is leaning towards positive. I mean, over the 8 years of implementation. And this is one of the report which is published by Deloitte India. You can see again, there is an improving trend in business confidence from 2022 to 25, because positive perception was 59 that time. Now it is increased to 85%. So that means the sentiment becomes more stable and more favorable. Okay. The data is still 8 years of GST, that is till 2025. So to conclude, the introduction of GST was a positive reform and is likely to remain beneficial in the long run, but it has been 8 years. So the study again shows early oppressions were there, awareness gap is there, and administrative implementation problems are there, which creates difficulties for the taxpayers and tax practitioners. The quantitative test confirmed the significant awareness, challenges, and perceived benefits, whereas coming to the qualitative aspect, it explained some of the trend are reversing. The earlier the negative trend was not there, now it is coming to leaning towards the positive. So the implementation of GST, that teething issues are getting settled down, and GST 2.0 is already introduced. So the government, industry, and practitioners and the common man are all increasingly positive toward the tax reform at the verge of this 9th anniversary. But the transition process is still needs, refinement. Again, the GST 2.0 changes are still getting to be, get to be accepted by the business community, and lots of efforts are again required to bring that one nation, one tax, one market true meaning of that tagline. And as I mentioned in the first slide, there are a lot of efforts need to be required to make it as a good and simple tax. Again, a lot of trolls are happening in the chartered accountants community page. So again, they are saying it has been 9 years, still it is not a good and simple tax. Okay, still the acronym of GST is remind us good night, sweet dreams, take care, GST. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Akhil, for that wonderful presentation on the three issues basically. One is awareness, then you're looking at the challenges, and you're looking at the perception of the practitioners who are looking at it. Now, before I open up for the discussion, I think we'll just get clarity on now our conclusions are like this. Awareness still stands to be low. Numerous challenges do exist. Even now it is existing. And there was a negative kind of perception towards it, which subsequently skewed down to or tending to move into a positive trajectory. So that's what he was trying to talk about. Now, I'll come to my remarks at the end. Before that, I'll just, because a large number of factors were put together for awareness, a large number of factors were taken as challenges also. And of course, when we came, we understood that it was the awareness was slightly more in among traders, and obviously the challenges were slightly less also over there. Now, before we open up the discussion, what will be the factor on which you feel awareness is the most crucial issue among all? Because some of these where you're talking about awareness like GST, number, threshold, and things like that, it's something like it sounds to be a bit because all these people are registered and still some of them are not aware about GST and number or maybe the threshold limit and all. So which is the factor on which we have to actually give the maximum emphasis when it comes to awareness, and so also which is the most important challenge. After that is given up, then we'll have a discussion further. Perhaps the discuss can also take it forward. So after we get these remarks on these two things.
So the based on the findings and interactions with the even from students from PGD, PG diploma GST batches, there are some practitioners. The major issue is regarding the frequent changes happening in the GST law, which is not yet to be understand by the taxpayer community. So they are relying upon the tax practitioners completely. And yes, GST network usage. Yes.
Now we can come back to my answer.
So, congratulations, Akhil. I think this is an important presentation, especially in the practical side of GST. There are so many other secondary data-based studies are available. Actually, you have used many methods to understand the level of awareness of different stakeholders, and also the challenges have been GST implementation is facing in India and particularly Kerala also. But in your presentation, actually you have explained that there are different levels of awareness among the manufacturers or the trading community and the service providers and all. But the problem is that you have used uniform indicators. Actually, these categories are different. So using uniform indicators won't give the accurate results. For example, in the case of service providers, for them the e-way bill or the migration issues or HSN issues, these are not relevant. Service providers, they are in a separate category. So when you have taken 41 stimuli items for explaining this thing. This is throughout same for all the categories. So that you have to, to be, some changes has to be there. For example, in the case of manufacturers or the traders, they have the working capital issues are there. No, those things are not considered. And also, two important things you have not included is the blocked credit, ineligible credit. These are all major issues in GST implementation now facing. Those things you have not included in that 41 items. These are made, and in IGST settlement issues are there. These things are not included in the thing. And another thing is regarding you have taken 6 items for whatever say, for analyzing the level of awareness. For example, GST features, GST basics, GST supply concept, GST registration, GST return, and GST provision. So in the I'm telling this based on your paper. Actually, these are all for improving your paper, I am suggesting. See, the first one you have mentioned that the level of awareness of household consumers on GST is analyzed with these 6 features. It is not at all possible. See why? I don't know. Okay, that you have to correct it. Only the taxpayer, no household, you can't do like that. No, okay. And another thing is in the case of registration, you analyze the thing based on the registration thing. You have taken 2 type of dealers. Normal and composite taxpayers. Actually, in my opinion or my understanding, I am telling that that is not possible, because the normal taxpayers and the composition tax, they are all registered dealers. The composition taxpayers, they are just opting that scheme, and within that particular turnover they can opt for. But those composition taxpayers are not taxpayers, so you cannot compare both of them. They cannot collect tax, they cannot demand input tax credit, they cannot have interstate purchase. So you cannot compare these two categories, they are entirely different thing. So I think that you have to refine. See, this is a major, because in the composite, that also the taking that sample also, around 365 lakh people, only 50,000 is composite tax. They are doing business, and from their turnover 1% tax they are paying. They have nothing to, so the awareness level, they don't need any awareness. You are telling that their awareness level on separate activities are more. So that comparison won't give any. That's my one. And another point is on another one is regarding the let's say fiscal. One point, no, this is on fiscal benefits, no? You have explained that thing. Actually, documentation and fiscal benefits. Actually, you have not mentioned any fiscal benefits in that category. Is there any tax collection, there any change, or tax rate any change? No, that sort of things are not there in the, or you have to define what is fiscal benefits. Fiscal is, no, there is a large one, it includes tax collection and the rate changes. So many things are there. Those things you have not, you just, simply you are saying what is fiscal. That is very important thing that you have to, some important thing is there. And the using different methods under, I am not commenting. There are, many people are there. Then the, focus group discussion also, you have not given any concrete suggestion on that thing, what emulated from that focus group discussion, that also have it outcome is not but the paper it is not there, but actually if you are, I know, I don't and the sentiment analysis also, you have used this Twitter thing. I think from Kerala, how many people reacted on that, and or even general also, how many manufacturers or the traders. Yeah, just a common people. From that, we are getting a conclusion, a little, yeah, careful. That is also there. I think in the concluding part also, you have mentioned that, for improving the awareness, you need, more training or updating of knowledge and all. In that, you have mentioned that this is all your based on your paper also. Uh, I think 5 things you have mentioned, no? Sorry, one bit. Uh, for well-focused awareness promotion campaigns for the identified stakeholders, these are the main area you are focusing on. That is use of GST portal. I think that issue almost over. Awareness is not needed for that particular thing, and functioning of the GST council. These are all these things. Actually, after 8 or 9 years, we don't need that much focus on that particular aspect. And input tax benefits. Many of the registered dealers know what are the benefits of input tax, how they have to need it. And use of GST infrastructure, I don't understand what it is, GST infrastructure. And also anti-profiteering class. Actually, anti-profiteering class only at the time of implementation of GST. Even GST2 reforms also, it is not working properly. But actually, what you already mentioned, that the major training focus on this update of this whatever changes happening in the notification notifications, and also circulars, even the advanced ruling, there are so many changes are happening. Those focus is important. See the changes in act, rules, and the corresponding changes immediately required in the GST portal. That is the most important awareness we need to be done. And I think the concluding and also the recommendation also, there is a little more strengthening is very important, because you have done a lot of descriptive analysis, and finally you are ending with, your conclusion is very scanty, and also your policy suggestions also you need a little more. And what is the specific things government or the stakeholders or the department, what the department has to do, what the GST council has to do, what the state government has to do, and the central government. And likewise, you have to suggest the separately. These are the points. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very well analyzed and studied and given a remarks, some of which I'll react towards the end. You want to respond to any of this right now? Any of the things which Madam said you want to respond, you can do that.
Regarding the ITC, we have mentioned already ITC refund, reversal, and all statements are there. Ineligibility. Okay, okay. So it is mentioned as a general statement regarding ITC. Then registration also, ma'am, we have done that Energy Vidya portal is there now. So there is an option for composition scheme opting also. Again, their return filing registration, that things are entirely different, right? They have to go for quarterly return filing. They don't need to do. They are not collecting tax.
That is a entirely different category.
There, I think only the issue is wherever it is comparable. If there are things on which you can compare, you can compare.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have to, because if it is not comparable, how do you
Yes.
compare? So if you find common issues in the two groups,
Two
normal
groups.
and composition, only then comparison should be done.
Then for service providers also, we have given separate statements, like specifically for them, HSN or SAC, because for them service accounting code is applicable, whereas for goods, HSN is applicable. So wherever that service provision is applicable, we have given or statement, but still the statements are in general for all the category.
Make it.
So we'll correct it. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, others now, please. Open now. Yeah, please.
Gil, it was nice presentation, a very elaborative presentation. I have some few doubts in certain places. First is with regard to the sources of awareness. Your sample was mentioned 320. So rest of them
Multiple response option was there.
okay, that way you
Yes.
calculated that. Okay. And second is, which already Anida ma'am has mentioned, that is fiscal benefits. So I was also not clear about like what are the indicators that you have used there.
Okay.
And third one is regarding the need for awareness and GST awareness. So like
Awareness gap.
in the awareness category, you have mentioned need for awareness and GST awareness. So like what
It
are
is
the
awareness
differences?
gap. Need for
No,
awareness and awareness gap.
GST awareness. One of the component was GST awareness, right?
Hmm.
So like what are the differences? Need for awareness, it's about GST awareness only, no?
We have mentioned the gap actually because compared to the large scale entities and companies, they will adapt whatever the changes happening. But these small and medium enterprises are still lacking to get that information on time. So they are getting, there is an awareness gap between these large players and small players.
Yeah, another thing was the benefit side.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned economic growth. So
Hmm.
like one of the benefit. So I don't know what you mean by that. I'm just asking that. And another thing is regarding the criteria that already Anda ma'am mentioned. I was like, is it the that criteria that you have given to each category, or was there any open-ended kind of thing? So in that way, you could have, collected some
Criteria?
of the things, like there could be differences, right, in the awareness, all these components. So the questions you have asked, so if some questions are open-ended, then the
Okay.
specific
Only
things would
that
have been-
separate category can. Okay.
so if you give, for example, 10 criteria, so if it matches to them only, they will respond, right?
Okay.
The other things will not come in there. So in that way, you could have actually collected the information particular to that specific category.
So instead of going for
Yeah.
the scaling questions,
Scaling
open-ended.
In that, one or two open-ended questions would have been there. So specific to that category would have been added. So I think that may be the reason,
Yes.
you might have not, received some of the important aspects with regard to each category. These are the things. Otherwise, it was very good presentation.
Thank you. Yeah. Others? Anybody else wants to share, add, compliment, suggest? Yes.
Period is 24 June, I guess. I mean, the period of data collection is 24 June till yes.
I just want that. Okay, you have done the survey on 2024 and still you're asking the same question, awareness. Already madam covered that. Still people are not aware about this. No,
Yes.
yeah, yes. And again, with regard to this economic growth thing, you have shown that people are responding in such a way that GST improved their economic growth.
No. These are the
Yes,
perceived
then-
benefit. No, perceived benefit. Like these are the perceived benefit which is proposed by the government by introducing GST, right? So they are agreeing, okay, economic benefit will happen. But
when we are
is-
doing a survey, we are again posing an if question.
huh,
If it is happened, it would be good. But what is the current condition? What is the reality? That we want to know.
I think he's trying to establish what was conceived and what is attained. So is there a gap between the
yes.
two? But on that, as you said, if you can look at the
Yes,
ground
what
to earth
is the
status, yeah,
reality that we want
Yeah,
to know,
exactly.
so that we can make suggestions accordingly.
Yeah.
No, again, economic growth related things are already published, like publishing that government through secondary data. Year, I mean, month on month, you are having 14% growth, 10% growth, and state-wise also 9% growth. So by that,
Okay,
but again, business are telling, okay,
It's
economic growth is happening, but the benefit which is perceived from the top is not getting down to the ground level.
again, this comes as an opinion, no?
Yes, opinion only,
Yes.
purely. Yes.
I just want a
Yeah.
clarification. Thank you.
I want to tell one or two things. See, in your paper, you haven't given anything about your sample selection. And
Is it?
you have, no, nothing was there. Actually, you have to give a separate table for that.
55 pages, I
No,
know.
no, no.
It's not there.
No,
Okay.
it's not there. No, you have to give a separate
Yes,
table for
yes, it
that.
is there, ma'am. I'll
And another thing,
yes.
in the references, there are lot of studies in gifts, including
Stakeholder,
reports,
yeah.
but there is no mention.
The secondary,
is
yeah,
the
the
bad
secondary
thing.
information part of it is,
The
yeah.
bad thing.
You could have taken the secondary information also to support. And one more thing, just to add on to the question, just in between, because those who are doing research, this is basically, you're trying to look at perceptions, which is qualitative. And in between, you're trying to establish a research hypothesis, of which certain things move into quantifiables. Like somebody is perceiving something, and then you're saying that I don't believe benefits have come down, and that. Then you must say that according to this study, this where it is quantifiably established. So perception is good, but when perceptions can be justified or contradicted using quantifiables, that relationship must come. Yeah, that's what is a problem there. Yeah. Anything else to add? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Akhil, for an interesting work and interesting presentation. I have some clarifications only because from a layman perspective, when we see that, uh, the taxpayers and the tax practitioners, it has been a broader canvas. So if you could narrow it down to any particular sector or any particular segment, I think the results would have been more like, like pertinent or useful or rather than being very generic.
Like manufacturing, service.
Yeah, any particular segment. So another clarification is regarding you have taxpayers and tax practitioners. So the issues, challenges, and the perceived benefits, that's what you're analyzing. So when you get these issues, challenges, and perceived benefits from tax
Payers.
yeah, payers. So were you matching that category with the particular tax practitioners? So it was not very much evident from the presentation. One thing.
Matching in the sense?
So the same tax practitioners applicable for this taxpayers, where you matched that category. Because when you say issues, challenges, and perceived benefits, whatever issues, challenges, and perceived benefits from one category of taxpayers, it should match with the taxpayer, practitioners also, right? So they may not, some alignment between this tax payers and practitioners. So yeah, I don't know what is the operational difficulty
No, the
there.
problem is the taxpayers will come under different category, manufacturers, traders, and but practitioners will deal with many type of tax practitioner, right? Like say for example, if you're taking a tax practitioner, he will file the return for a manufacturer, he'll file a return for a composition scheme. So he is dealing with multiple taxpayers.
That could
So
be from the
yes,
operational side, that could be, but then if any kind of insights in that direction
Yes.
could have been a more, deeper
Linking,
linking.
right.
Yeah. So, and also from a layman perspective, again, what do you actually mean by a normal taxpayer and a composite taxpayer? You should have been defining that one. And also, with regard to perceived benefits, again, you have furnished some certain results, but I was not clear about, did you have a delineation between these taxpayers and tax practitioners when it comes to the perceived benefits? So perceived benefits from whose perspective we were talking about, that was not clear. With regard to focus group discussion, I think little more empirical, methodological rigor you should bring about, like how many people were involved.
It's
And-
already there, 24
Uh,
shown.
Throughout the
Yes.
focus group 1, 2, 3, and all. And then with regard to sentimental analysis, I just have a suggestion there because all other methodologies, what you were following, like triangulation method and all those things, you had a focus on taxpayers and practitioners. Here, it is just a disconnect.
Because
that,
from Twitter data, we can't take.
Yeah. So in that case, I think my suggestion, you can do away with that kind of an analysis in this particular context.
Okay, fine.
Because that methodological part is a little bit disconnected. Thank you.
Yes.
Otherwise, it is very good. Thank you.
And for normal and composition scheme, those who are having turnover of 40 lakh or above can register as normal taxpayers if they are dealing with goods. If it is service, if the turnover is more than 20 lakhs, they can register as normal taxpayers. And for composition scheme, if the turnover is up to 1.5 crore, they can opt for these compositions. Composition scheme, ma'am already told. Yes. Ma'am.
Actually, this and composition taxpayers also normal taxpayers.
Hmm.
From they have a registered dealer. Then from that they are opting for composition scheme. That is a scheme. Inside, yeah.
Hmm.
Actually,
That's all.
actually they cannot collect tax. They cannot take in tax credit. They cannot purchase industry. So many.
different people.
Yeah, actually they are also a dealer, registered dealer. They have to register in the dealer
Portal.
portal, and they can opt for up to 1.5 lakh for their
1.5 crore.
in a particular year. They can just they don't need to keep the accounts and all, or upload any invoices or anything of that sort. They just keep just to show that they in their business they just paying 1% as tax. They cannot collect tax. That is the important thing. And they have to display in their that shop also. I am a composite dealer with this registration number. It's like this.
Comes to the issues and challenges again. If you still speak anything about what makes the challenges different for normal and
Hmm.
benefits versus benefits.
Yeah, that is one. Yeah. Anybody online who wants to put some question? Anybody though who is online? I think 4 or 5 are there online.
Online because they don't want to.
Ask. Okay. So those who are online, we must
I
assume.
think,
Yeah. Now we can come back
what
to it. Yeah.
what I liked most is, actually, I really liked the whole idea because you're very much with me in the sense that I wanted to have some grounding for the public finance. Generally, public finance in this country is essentially a secondary data-based story. And although each of the figures which we talk about, the tax revenue, non-tax revenue, fiscal deficit, although that affects the millions of people's lives, but unfortunately we don't really deal with that. But it's all there. But when I found that particular figure, somebody is getting into from the bird's eye view, macro analysis to micro analysis, that particular thing, I was really excited, really excited. But you were also too ambitious. But you want to solve all the problems actually. That is what you are too ambitious. I like that you have to ambitious, but you are too ambitious. Particularly when you are talking about here awareness. And you have got 41 variables over there. Challenges, 56 variables over there. And you have, as your discussion rightly said, you very often landed up in comparing non-comparables. But the basic problem is what actually worried you. There should be a concern. One concern is that, okay, these people, all my colleagues are working with secondary data, monthly data. I want to get agree. But there is something that worries you. GST, has it been a good and simple tax? But then that worry, you should have to begin with looked into what is the existing literature talks about. I don't think that Akhil is the first person to get aware about these things. In the all over the world, wherever a GST got implemented, the people say that the government got changed. Immediate pains, Malaysia, they came back, they returned. The government itself collapsed in many places. So the point is that from the experience, we know that GST is something which has got initial pains. There is initial pain. But then the problem, you have to come up with some specific questions rather than awareness. Awareness on what? What is the crucial issue of relevance that we want to look at? What are the 3 issues, 3 aspects of relevance I want to focus on? I don't want to cover everything under this sun. Challenges. What challenge? That depends contingent on, first of all, the existing, because I never found any literature. What is the result? What is the difference between a PhD thesis? You are doing analytical research. What is the difference between a PhD thesis and a report? That one should be aware of that. You need to have, first of all, without talking about, for example, existing stock of knowledge and how you want to deviate from that. My stock of knowledge doesn't satisfy me. My questions still remain.
And I disagree with existing knowledge. So I want to have, but that part is missing. In that process, it turned out to be a report, which documents everything, trying to be ambitious, too ambitious. Not you have to you turned to be too ambitious. At the end of the day, you came with a very nice conclusion. Everything is there. Awareness is a big problem. Challenges is too big. That varies between three categories. Intensity varies, but at the end of the day, it's improving. Okay. But I think it is not a very satisfactory. Not very. You have to. I think you should. The particular I would like to know how many of the people are really doing their income tax form submission by themselves. How many of them are resorting to, for example, tax practitioners, what GST practitioners, those kinds of things. That was to give us an idea how you can intervene. This institute can, where we can intervene. We should have given some idea about that. So what I'm saying is that I would like you to look little deeper. And I would have been really happy a quotation from someone in this kind of primary survey, a real quotation that actually captures the real problem. Because, you know, if you talk to people, when you're going to the field, you get a lot of insight from the field. But your insight all came in the form of graphs. That's the modern people do like that. Don't worry about that. That's all our thing. This our thing. That's our understand. Because all these bibliographic kind of survey and that's understandable. But I thought you that focus was missing. You wanted all the thing, all the challenge, all the awareness of all. You can't do that. I think that thought process missed. First part, some review of literature on which what we know. From there, we have to think about what is the key area where information, its absence is going to be painful. What are the challenges which are going to have key implications on what you are aiming at? We don't know, but you are not aware of money. You are not about money. Yes. Money is also important. Without money, what commerce? So I thought maybe we have to think a little bit. Yes. I don't want to. I'm also only both of you can tell whether, because I'm an economist. Please take with a glass of salt or what I said.
Yeah, thank you for that comments. I wanted to put myself at the end, but I started with, I think, what your director, Professor Joseph, rightly said.
Sir, can I also, before you end up, can I just...
Yeah, please.
Okay, I mean, congratulations, Akhil. I felt that this is a great exposition of mixed methods approach in GIFT because, I mean, here we are too much technical, but even though yours thing is also a bit of mixed methods, that is also a bit of technical in nature. I just want to, I mean, coming back to the, I mean, set of analysis that you use towards the end, probably that we often see in an economist presentations with regard to the use of principal component analysis and all. But why didn't you use that method and instead you, I mean, use that much colorful kind of analysis in summarizing the best possible indicators of out of it, I mean variables out of it? Probably you can use that kind of analysis also to come to a economist kind of analysis. So that is my thing. Otherwise I think this is a great I mean exposition of mixed methods approach in arriving at some policy suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, your response? Yeah.
No, sir. He suggested to use PCA.
PCA. Yeah, that is whether PCA will be better than this, or what is your thought? He's saying PCA would have been a better option.
No, for qualitative, I think whatever I have done is better. I mean.
Okay, I'll just summarize because I started, as I said at the beginning, and telling or bringing out which are the most important factors on which awareness needs to be enhanced, which is the most important. I think that is where Professor Joseph was also rightly pointing out. Because suppose somebody is asking me as maybe a tax practitioner or whatever on some research, if Professor Joseph comes and tells me that, so you come to Gulati and tell me some of your problems, and we are trying to look at how to address those challenges or those issues. And I'm saying that, sir, when will you give me an appointment? So he says tomorrow, 11 o'clock. So I come at 11 o'clock here and I'm saying that I have 141 problems listed. How are you going to? Then he might say that then you better walk out with your 140. Nothing can be done. I never expected 141 problems to come. I thought if you tell me one or two, that like we need to look at the most. Perhaps that is done in the research, but you have to summarize that in that particular form in bringing it out. And as Anita Madam rightly pointed out, I'm not repeating those things about the normal and the composition and all those issues which need to come out there. We need to have very concrete, specific conclusions coming out where you relate between qualitative and quantifiables. And perception is something which we can use in a very deep form in qualitative research, but some of the factors that was again nothing which came out in the discussion, like where it is also related to a quantifiable part, we cannot rely on the perception alone. Suppose you're asking me about the social benefits I get out of something or how I'm satisfied, fine, I can say that it is in a qualitative form. And then you're saying that do you perceive that your income has changed? It is like asking me, do you perceive what change in your height has happened? What change in my height has happened is very physically measurable and concrete. What change in income that has happened is something which you can measure in terms of maybe the income that I have, the kind of house that I have, and the kind of assets which I own. So there is certain things which cannot always we cannot always depend on perception. Do I feel there is a change? There are certain things which you should depend only on perception. It's not possibly measurable. So these two things in mixed research, I think these issues turn out to be very relevant. Now, one more concluding thing, because Professor Joseph was rightly talking about commerce research, not only commerce, I feel in all. Now you have understood that awareness is low. Now you have understood that challenges are there and it is a period of 8, 9 years. Obviously, initially for any new system, for any new reform, it will have its teething problem. It will have its stage of infancy. So now, and the research itself towards the last part, when you look at sentimental analysis, it is saying that, okay, it is improving. So that means 8 years, 9 years. Now we have to see, is it a time for maturity or still will it take more time for maturity? So that is there over there. Now for researchers, I think now you know the awareness is less, challenges are there. Now, can research institution like Gulati do anything? Because that is where live research comes. We have understood this. Can you act as maybe an advisory kind of support institution, a support mechanism from Gulati to enhance awareness, to deal with some of these challenges, or maybe one or two among the listed factors? And you can say that, okay, Gulati has a very strong kind of initiative to support you. And the small dealers, the micro enterprises, they can come on to us. Then you get live research issues, you get researchable themes to work on, and then you get more and more research scholars to work on live. That is where you have a real-time research on live experiences which are happening around. So that's where you can, I think, take this initiative forward. And obviously, you will see a lot of research scholars coming up, not just for PhD, even for practitioners, even for those who are in the policy making, they will look at the center as a place which is supporting community, the nation, the society at large in terms, because once we have understood awareness is less, not just the duty of researchers to say that I studied in 24, awareness is less. Again, I'm doing a big bibliometric analysis, awareness is less. And my purpose is to tell you that awareness is less. But then what are we doing also in terms of, because you have that rich knowledge, you have that competence, how this percolates down into the society, how it moves into the community, because your community now in this particular case is the people who are taxpayers and the practitioners. How do you give some policy support? So that way, that is how you have to strengthen your research. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I wish Akhil and all others all the best in all their research pursuits. And let us see, because we had good discussion, I think this is how we have to refine ourselves and see that good research happens in future as well. Thank you so much.
it should come to, it has the potential to come for action points, while as far as other research which we do is mostly oriented towards tax department. Here, it can come actions that we can do, but that way your research is much more of pertinence to us. So I would say, it would have been very nice if you could kind of tell us most pressing challenge, where are the awareness where it is most missing with adverse implications. Even if I don't know this, no problem. But this, if you don't know, you are in trouble. That kind of, anyway, we will, I think, I hope that our PGD GST candidate students are a good potential source to get a feel from the field. And I appreciate, I'll appreciate if you can make use of them and take the agenda forward. So thank you very much. Good initiative. I think we should take this agenda forward, because we should, your public finance people also, the students also, we should get into, public finance is not that don't touch the people's life. In fact, that is actually, this is, if at all among any other branches of economics, this is the one undoubtedly that can have immediate impact on the people's life. So I think that should also get reflected in your society. Okay, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's, okay.